We have sound. We just gotta switch the mic back because it's the one without light. Camera, Mexico. Woo! Okay. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I finally got it to work. And my special guest today, step up, is Petey Parrot. I thought the forest background would be a good idea, but he blends right in because he's green. So Petey is he's about 7 years old, and I've had him since he was a baby. He was hand raised and even hand fed a little bit. Thank you for the kisses. And as you can see, he's extremely affectionate and snotty and nippy and sassy. And he talks. He's not like a great talker. He says like 7 phrases. But he's got the mentality of like maybe a 2-year-old and just super mischievous. So today we made a big leap, and guys, I was talking to my niece the other day, and I was like, I really want a goldfish. Talk me out of it. And she talked me out of getting another pet, and here I am. She doesn't have a name yet. She's kind of freaked out because she's grown up in a pet store. She's about 8 weeks old, and she's never been handled before. Hands are like totally new to her. She has wings. They're not clipped. This is going to be a total adventure to tame her. So I think, I don't know, right now I'm calling her Sky, but that's not very original. Hi, baby. See her? Hi. She's just sitting and chilling. So while Petey is a green cheek conure, his lifespan was about, hopefully up to 35 years he can live. Sky is a budgerigar. They're usually called parakeets or budgies. They're from Australia, and their lifespan is more like 10 to 12 years. They don't usually talk, though the males can, and they sing. They sing a pretty little song. They don't squawk as much as the conure, and they're usually a little more chill, not as sophisticated in terms of games and exploration, but snuggly and interactive, and will be your best buddy and sit on your shoulder and snuggle under your hair. Hey, welcome Tipton Mama. Just gonna say some hellos. Welcome Gathering Voices. Hey. I'll show you Sky. I'm gonna show you some pictures and videos that I'm gonna load in here in a minute from when she first got home. I had to take her out of the box, and like I mentioned, her wings aren't clipped. And so I tried to kind of lure her out with Millet, and she just freaked. She freaked and flew all over the house, flying into the curtains. I mean, I didn't have windows exposed, but it was sad, and there is no trust there yet. We have no bond. Petey is sitting on her cage. Let's try this again. Here it comes. Hey, Joe, welcome. Petey's like King Kong hanging on the back of the cage. Can we make this? I don't know how to do this with this background. Here we go. See in the cage? She is not yet tame and does not want to be out of this thing. There. Kind of got her. This is not working. I'm going to show you. There. How did I do it before? Lord knows. Okay, I'm just going to show you the capture video. Petey, leave her alone. So she finally got off the floor. She was sitting on the floor of the cage, like just freaked out. And now she's sitting on the perch, and that is huge progress. I look like a ghost. Woo! Yeah, it's just not quite figured out yet. He's taking it well. He's taking it pretty well that I brought another bird home, I gotta say. He's like, whatever, if I can have millet, give me its millet. And then he climbed onto the cage and Sky flew right at him and he just freaked. It was really funny. He totally freaked. Let me see if I can get these pictures downloaded on the screen. Downloads. Did I upload? Oh, yeah, I uploaded them to Google Drive. So it's going to be Drive. I'm down to I think it just uploaded. Looking for video and all this. Well, I'm not having great success with this. Figuring out how to like integrate the screen with my. Okay, I'm gonna do it from here. We'll do it like this. It's cheesy, but okay. This is baby girl just coming out of the. Oops, lost the screen. Just coming out of the box, because you know they send them home in a little box. So. Hey, buddy. You think she's gonna respond? Oh yeah, there she goes. Freaking out. And then it was a whole thing to catch her. She's hiding down in the corner. And you know, Pete would just step right up onto my hand. Watch, step up. Step up. There we go. He is just so tame. I forgot how birds freak out. So it's a little bit different of a diet change. This guy eats mostly pellet and fruits and veggies, and seeds are just treats. And the budgie eats seeds mostly. And they don't give him any kind of fruits or vegetables or greens at the pet store. So I don't think he'll even recognize it, or she, maybe. He will even recognize it as food. So that's going to be an adventure to try to teach her that. So our little salty flock has grown by one budgie. I can't wait to hear her sing for the first time. Oh, she's springing. Let me see if I can turn off. I'm going to turn off this background so you guys can see her. Figure out how. There. No more green screen. Okay. Get this guy. And this guy back. Bucket Wangler. There. You guys see her now? She's in this little cage temporarily, just to let her have a secure, comfortable space to get used to things. I need a sci-fi background. Joe, can you find one for me? Who's Casey? He looks like Casey. So she looks to me like the first budgie I ever had. I had a bluebird just like this named Belle and a green one named Bo, and the two of them were partners. They were the first birds I ever had, and they were in a cage just like this when I first saw them. There is a picture of me first seeing them, and I was a super awkward, dorky kid, and I was just like, love affair began. And I had them for, I don't know, like 8 years. So Joe says, we had 2 budgies in Texas, and Cassie. Yeah, I know Cassie, but I didn't remember you having 2 budgies. Cool. And Callie, yeah. But what were the budgies named? And what happened to them? I don't know. So she's been living in a pet store. So I honestly think that her, like, she has a high tolerance for people walking by, but she's not used to them interacting at all. She's still a baby. See that spot? The area right above her beak is her nose, little 2 nose holes. That's called a sear. And when they get older, the females are brown and the males are bluish purple. But she's not old enough to be sexed yet. It's cool that in budgies you can physically tell. Petey, for example, in his conures, come here, buddy. Come here, step up. You cannot tell male from female unless you DNA sex them. So Petey can DNA sex male. And, we knew that already. His breeder did that. Are you wiping your mouth on me? Thank you. Part of getting to know a bird and training a bird is learning their body language. So if I ask Petey to step up, I happen to know already that he does not want to. Step up. Yeah, leave the Band-Aid alone, buddy. He's obviously saying no. The way he said no to me before was that he leaned his belly down like that. So over time, though, you start with asking the bird to step onto your finger while kind of pressing gently on their tummy as a cue. He's like, no, screw you. But we have a long-term bond and relationship. So, usually we'll go through a process with Sky in terms of teaching her to step up and learning how to interact with hands. But usually if I offer to Petey, he'll either say no with his body or he'll do it. Right. And we have a very strong trust bond, but Petey and I have been through a ton of stuff. He's healthy currently, thank God, but he's been through some pretty serious health stuff. And on 3 different occasions, come here, buddy. 3 different occasions, I had to administer shots into his stomach twice a day. So I really had to handle him, and he learned that I was trying to help him. He's sassy, though. He's very sassy and nippy, aren't you? And very affectionate. So I don't expect Sky or Blueberry or whatever we're going to call her, I don't know, to be as interactive. Probably will want more downtime. And these 2 I expect will be friends eventually. Anybody have questions about this kind of bird that I can answer? Either the green-cheeked conure, which is Petey, the OG salty bird. Are you not, Petey? You are the OG salty bird. And our new little blue friend. There we go. Back to not showing my kitchen in the process being painted. Trouble is, it blurs the bird. That's why we were not doing that. Anyway, it's a lot more pleasant. So this is our adventure, and it was completely unplanned. I've been thinking about it in the back of my mind for a long time. I've almost brought some home. One I put a deposit down on once. Put some unique aquamarine colors that were super cool. But we never did it. And today I went to pick up dog food. And I passed by the birds and I was like, hi, you're coming home. with me. So that's pretty fun. Well, I don't mean this to be, they'll be best. Yeah, I think Petey and Sky will be, I don't know about Sky because I kind of like having a nickname where I can have an E sound at the end. We'll probably rename her. This guy loves to be on my head. He loves to be on me at all times. He's what I call a Velcro bird. So I don't know. I'd like to take this opportunity to talk a little about how to care for these birds. I have the cage here with me in the kitchen right now with nothing on, but kitchens are not typically safe places for our feathered friends. The ovens and some of the, if you have Teflon pans and you have a bird, get rid of the Teflon. Some of the things and the scents and the gases and stuff that get created in the kitchen are really not good for birds' lungs. And Petey has had 2 or 3 lung infections that almost ended him, but we survived it. So that's really important. Nimbus, ooh, NIMBY for short. Misty. I don't know, maybe if she were more of a stormy color. Sundog. I like these suggestions. Keep them coming. Ceramic pans are exactly what you should have for a bird. Those are bird safe. Self-cleaning ovens are extremely dangerous. Having the self-cleaning oven, you can come home and find your bird dead because of the gases that it creates. But yeah, you want to get rid of Teflon and have ceramic or something without that coating. The bird should be in a place with good lighting, but not in a draft. They are very sensitive to temperature, so they can catch cold, basically, if they have drafts and they can't kind of hide behind these environments. I know that a lot of people are going to think, but these guys sleep outside in the wild at night. But those birds are not raised in captivity. They have other birds. They have nests that they go into at night and little, structures. So, and they have survival instincts from having grown up in the wild. These guys don't. Zephyr, Halicon, Aeolus. Where are you getting this from, Joe Tipton? Are you having a chat with AI? Aeolus. I like Zephyr the best so far. She's sky colored though. She's a very true azul. Greek mythology. Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool. Tipton Mama. It's a possible surprise, but I've been considering a pair of these for a bit. Yeah. So because I bought from the pet store, I want to say that first I looked, I've been in and out of the shelter here, and they don't have many birds. And when they get them, they home them pretty fast. These guys don't have a super long lifespan or a problem of not being housed like cats and dogs do. So having them from breeders or pet stores is a little different than others. I have bred finches before. And when I was just a kid, I want to say maybe 12 or 13, I had a pair of these guys, the budgies, who mated. And I had taken their cage outdoors and out just to get some fresh air on a beautiful day. But they had learned to open the cage door. And one of them was pulling it up with his beak while the other one got out. And she was in the process of lifting it for him to get out. When I went over, she took off and Mama never came back. So I ended up, with the help of my sister, actually, we would take turns and we would hand feed these little tiny babies as they hatched with droppers. And we do it every like 2 hours at night for a little while, taking turns putting an alarm on. And most of them survived. So it's pretty magical when a bird comes out of a shell. It really is. Come here, little reptile. The other cool things about birds is, they're really honest. They have these little reptile brains that say elevated, excitement, energy, be hypervigilant, or love, calm, chill, and nest. And And you have to have respect for them and be nice and actually pay attention. Because, like, look at this guy. He has definite prerogatives and opinions. He is so snotty. And if I just ignore him, he's going to bite me. But if I communicate with him, I'm rewarded with a really rich relationship with this creature who learns how to communicate ideas to me, and I communicate ideas to him. And it's really special, you know, to have a bond with a creature that's so much smaller than you. I mean, this is a creature. I'm like a sky rise to him, and he trusts me. So that means it's got to be like, it might sound weird, but a consensual relationship. You don't grab the bird when the bird doesn't want to be grabbed. You ask the bird to consent to snuggle with you or to touch you, get close to you. If not, you will not have trust. If you do that, you will have trust. So over the next, I don't know, week to, I think Petey just muted me. You guys still hear me? Okay. From the next week to month, I'll be just kind of slowly working with her every day, putting my hand into the cage and teaching her how to step up while offering her millet. That's going to be my major trick. And then once she learns step up onto my finger, she bit this, by the way. This girl has a small beak, but it's sharp. Oh my God, she would not let go. I respect this little one. She's tough. Yeah, Joe. Come here, Pete. Shush. When they feel safe with you, it's an amazing feeling. This tiny little creature. That was a warning, not a real bite. Yeah. Really? One of the things that calms him, I've done with him since he was a baby, is reading to him. That's how he learned most of his words. I read books to him, and he would like follow and watch. Did you see that? Yeah, but it wasn't a real bite. It was just a nip, again, it was telling me he was mad, but it wasn't an attack. See? No owies. Yeah. So, most of the time, it's been a long time since he's bitten me. Right. Huh. Instead, he's just going to rip open my tea bag. Aura. Aurora. Rory. Rory. What do you think, Pete? What's Bayou? Who's that? So this is kind of random, but I was at a bookstore today, and I picked up the classic Aesop's Fables, and I was reading about the beginning, and they're all parables involving animals as vehicles for the moral of the story. And it's super interesting how they characterize birds. Maybe I'll share some of these stories with you once I bookmark them. Yeah, Aesop's Fables. I've never actually read all of these. Oh, Bayou. Hey, Joe, do you know what's the Hindu god of? There's another one, like a god of the sky or god of wind or something like that. There's another name. I had a parakeet once that was like gray and white, and I named him one of the a Hindu name for storm or god of wind or something like that. I could probably find it, but it's a super sad story. He was on my ex-husband's shoulder, and his wings were not clipped. He was just getting tame, and he walked out the door and forgot he was on his shoulder and flew away, and we never found him back. It's really sad. Deep regret. I think the bird probably survived, though. He was a tough guy. What did I call him? It was a soft-sounding name, like a breeze. I'm liking Zeffy. I don't know. Pretty fun. Oh no! He found the millet. Come here. I think I can get him to do a couple treats. Petey, ready? That that bird? Oh no, that was a not that. Okay, that was a somersault. One more. Somersault. Somersault. Good job. Millet is your best friend when you're training. Good job. Let's do one more. Somersault. Somersault. Do it. There you go. He's mad at me. I'm eating, mister. Dakota. Maybe. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I might start a new one later on a new topic, do some of my case studies, some of the writing that I've been doing. But this one I wanted to keep brief and just hang out with you and introduce you to the birds. Some of you don't, maybe some of you don't have been not knowing where the salty bird comes from. So that, let's do this one more time with Zeffy. Is that what we're going to call you? She's not as scared for sure. She's totally chill until she comes out or I go in. That's when things get really scary for her. So after she learns to step up on my finger, the next thing I'm going to do is open the door and probably be like making food and let her get curious and come over to me. Lakshmi, I knew a woman. I worked with a woman named Lakshmi. Indra, Joe, that was the name of my other parakeet, was Indra. Thanks, tipped him mama. Pretty fun. Thank you for coming in and sharing with me. I'm gonna get some dinner, and I will shout at you guys later if I come back with some of the cases. I'm thinking about talking about some updates in the missing Sebastian Rogers case in Tennessee. I have comments on that. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the OnlyFans model murder case. I want to talk about just touch on the Daybell case, and then I want to introduce you all to. I have some OG coverage to do. Hold on, let me show you. I have done a detailed reading and review of O.J. Simpson's If I Did It, the classic. I have researched the trial and watched, more importantly, the interview. This came a couple of years after the verdict. He wrote it, but it wasn't published until 12 years later. So everything had died down, and most people never actually found out what was in the story. This came about, because Fox owns a publishing house. I can't remember the name right now, but it's one of the major publishing houses. And so they did a two-pronged deal. They reached out to him and said, hey, if you'll write a confession and interview us, Arthur, come here. One, we'll give you a ghostwriter for the book. And two, you have to come on and do the interview. And if you do both, we'll give you $1 million. And he was like, F no, I'm not going to confess to anything. And they said, well, no confession, no deal. And so they went back and forth, and he said, if I can say it's hypothetical, fine. So he does a pretty good job taking you into a world where he's talking about, thanks, Pete, ate the corner. He's talking about being dissociated and being in a fog, and he may as well have done it versus not done it, because he's suggesting that he has false memories because people have told him so much that he did it. So he's like, well, maybe I did, right? And then he tells you the story of exactly how he, quote unquote, hypothetically did it. And then he tells you, I just blanked out and tried to tell myself it wasn't real. And then later he's like, oh, but that was all hypothetical. So the interesting part is when he goes on and does the actual interview, which, remember, airs 12 years later. So most people don't see it because it was just like censored, right? And if there's anything I hate, it's censored books, or it's books being censored. I'm all about reading banned books. So, yeah, I don't think we should ban something that's not good. I think we should understand it, unearth it, and ask why, right? I always believe that. Yeah, Tipton Mama, it was tied up. It was actually about to be published, and the Goldman family fought it really hard. Actually, both families did. The Goldman and the Nicole Brown Simpson's estate, mostly her sister Denise. This is crazy that this turned into a talk about O.J. Simpson, but it's just a kind of a teaser because I want to. Maybe I'll come back in later and talk about this and tell the story. So I want to really actually review the book and redo some pieces and talk about it. But he comes on this interview and he goes into like a completely dissociative state and tells the story so real with the eye movement, emotional accessing, and memory. And if this man didn't do this and it's something he could tell that way, then there's something still really fucking wrong inside. But I started with the presumption that he may in fact not have done it. I'm not saying it's likely, but just start with an open mind and just look at the evidence. That's what I wanted to do. And he very well convinced me that if he didn't, he's a total prick. So everyone can decide on their own, but I just took extremely detailed notes in this book so that I could share the major plot lines and what I thought about it. And then I want to share with you the actual interview and do a reaction to you on the interview, because he forgets in the interview to tell you it's hypothetical. He remembers at the end, and he goes to a really dark place when he's telling the story. He also answers the famous question about the gloves. What happened to the gloves? Why didn't they fit? Were they yours? What was going on? And he describes their relationship and everything that was going on. And the most interesting part of it is that everything he was accused of, he weaves a very interesting goal-oriented story to paint her in that exact light. The guy is a classic narcissist. He is not sociopathic, in my opinion. Just my opinion, whatever it's worth. Tipton Mama, I remember their families didn't want him to benefit financially from the deaths. Yeah. The Goldmans were actually saying they were calling it he's going to go in the other room, pardon me. They were calling it a handbook to murder. They weren't willing to read it, and they weren't interested in hearing about it until they realized through their attorneys that they were never going to be able to collect the money that OJ owed them. And all that he had that was worth taking was the rights to the book. So they forced the sale, and then they used the money from their judgment against him as a credit card to buy the book. And then once they owned the rights to the book, suddenly it was all flipped on its head. It's not a manual for murder. It's a confession everybody needs to read, because now we get $15.99 or whatever the hell every time someone buys a book. So they have it's hard to dislike a murder victim's family. It really is hard to do that. But the Goldmans accomplish it. They accomplish complete dislikability. And when I started reading this book, I had virtually no active memory of them. I had to go look it up because I was a kid when the Simpson trial happened. I remember just seeing it in the background, but knowing nothing about it. So this is all kind of fresh to me. And I was like, well, maybe there's more to the story. There's definitely more to the story. I don't think the prosecution was even close. And I think that he's throwing us off in this book, but it's a real insight into how he's thinking and how it's all about him and getting what he wants and manipulative behavior, but it's certainly not on It's not on an Einstein level, man. He just had a lot of resources and a lot of social sway, which is why he got away with all that shit for so long. Harpy? Joe. Harpy. Should I be renaming this chat now and going and doing the full, or if I did it review? I'm dying to do this one, and I'm like, all right, or should I just redirect and start a new one, you guys, so I can have the proper name on it? The Goldmans certainly were traumatized. Yeah, Mama, saying the Goldmans were traumatized. Absolutely. They were. Of course, how could they not be? That's why I start out by saying it's extremely hard to dislike a victim's family, because think about what they've gone through. I have total empathy for their pain. I just think that I dislike the way they treated Nicole Brown. I dislike the way they treated the Simpson children. I think that they were hypocritical and aggressive and mean. And if it was really the moral of the story, they would not have fought the Browns for the proceeds from this. They would have split it. And they fought them every step of the way to share proceeds once they got them. And those were going to the children and not to him. The kids are adults, and Nicole Brown was managing the estate. So Simpson was not getting, anything from that. Yeah, they're sympathetic for sure. He talks in here about the dad, talks in here about how he's choosing to stay angry and not to move on. Once he gets to that point and he's kind of just like, I don't know, it's hard to sit with somebody who just like loves their victim identity years later. It's hard for me to sit with that personally. I have empathy. I don't know. Here, let's go. Let's go in. Oh no, and everybody's coming in here looking for a bird video, and we're talking about O.J. Simpson. It's crazy. Okay, guys, I'm gonna start a new stream so we can talk about this with the right name. Everybody who stopped by for the new flock member Birdie introduction, new Budgie. She doesn't have a name yet. Petey is flying around the house freestyle, being snotty. There's seeds everywhere. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the name suggestions. I'm going to close out and start a new live here to talk about OJ. If he did it years and years later, let's look back. What the fuck happened? Be right back. Stay salty.